Well, when I saw him, he hadn't been here very long. I think that was part of, I believe he made up his mind very early that this was a place for him. Perhaps he'd been looking for such a place. I think that now he's reached a stage with his present thinking that there's no alternative available. By that I mean that all that he wants out of life is here, but he wishes to go on making money elsewhere. Not in England, necessarily, but here is the center of gravity for him, and his mind whistles back to it all the time. If you meet him elsewhere, Seychelles comes up in the conversation as if it is home, and it is home. It does with me when I'm away from home. I phone back. He's seeing this as the center of his particular universe, his life. And I don't think he will ever be disappointed. You see, political changes have come and gone, but he has remained resolute in his attachment to this country. Quite interesting, really. I think it's got to be Seychelles. I think there's really no alternative, and there's no purpose in speculating about other places, because I have met him in England, and he is always seems to be about to go back to Seychelles. I mean, he doesn't exactly live out of a suitcase, but that's sort of in his mind. I've met him in London, I've met him in America, and I've met him in Singapore. And he's always, I'm going next week. The end of his stay where he is. And it's applied, I think, throughout. It's become more insistent in his later time. I came to Seychelles in the first place as British High Commissioner. In fact, the first British High Commissioner, because Seychelles had just become independent, 1976. Now, the British government, we'd made up our minds a little late to open a post here. It became important at that time because it was the middle of the Cold War. But we weren't intending to open a post until we realized it had an important function, which I needn't go into now, but there was a need for it. So when I arrived, there was really no place which would be a suitable representational house, and we would build one. But it takes time to build a house, so we looked around, and this house, Bois Noir, which we're now sitting in, was occupied by Robert Gaines Cooper. And he was persuaded, not without some difficulty, to lend it to the British government, to lend it to me. Well, he's a smart guy, that's the first thing. He's a smart man, and he does get on with people. And his first feeling about moving to the place was that he bore in mind, he had to bear in mind how locals, if you move to a new country, you're not quite sure how their mind ticks. He got on very well, and there was a very good test, of course, when there was a coup d'etat in about a year after I was here, probably 15 months after he'd arrived. The president was overthrown in a coup d'etat. Robert had got on very well with the first president of Seychelles, from Mankam. He got on very well with the succeeding president of Seychelles. He didn't dabble in politics, per se, at all. And he wanted, almost from the moment he got here, to become part of the fabric of Seychelles and to contribute to those things of a voluntary nature which will help the movement of Seychelles. So he's a popular figure locally. He has always looked ahead to remaining here. He comes back so quickly when he's away.